Okay.
Are we set?
Yes, we are.
So we have spin the wheel, 10 questions on midlife, 10 questions on the topic of how to know your true self.
Right.
Oh, let's go. Can you all see?
Yep.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
I can.
Okay.
Okay, let's spin.
I will volunteer. Oh. When was the last time you did something that felt completely, unmistakably like you, and how did you know? Like, you always think that you will be able to like just have an answer like that, and then it never happens. I'm like, okay, I'll go first, and then thinking, okay, I'll have an answer, but it's like, how was it?
Is that you being you doing that?
Oh my god.
When was the completely, unmistakably like you, and how did you know?
That's an interesting question, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to not overthink it and just think of the first thing that came to mind. I actually read the question wrongly. I thought it was that felt unlike me. But okay, now we're saying completely like me, right? We were having dinner or lunch or something like that, and then the waitress had really like very, very nice eye makeup. So I just said like, oh, hey, your eye makeup looks really good. And then after that, his mom said, oh, that's very you. Like you always don't hesitate to tell somebody if you see something that's nice. Then I didn't really even think about it, because it wasn't like a conscious thing where I go, oh, I must find something nice and tell somebody. It's just one of those like, maybe thankfully it's not filtered but in a good way. You know what I mean? I don't say like, wow, that's a very ugly t-shirt that you have. Like usually I'll be like, wow, very fascinated, and it's not even about, and it really got me thinking, because and then I told her like, oh, I like, okay, I didn't even think about it. Like, obviously I know I was doing it. I mean, not like I was in a trance, right? But for her to say, oh, that's very you, and I was like, oh, okay. And it made me start thinking, and I was like, oh yeah, I know, I've been doing it. But anyway, the point is, I've always felt that maybe because I personally like to put together a look, I like to dress up, like, oh, I really like this necklace, whatever, right? And so when I see somebody with something like that, I just feel like I want to say it because it's in my mind and it's not filtered. And if it's a nice thing, then why not? Right? Like, everybody could use some validation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's nice to tell someone.
yay, so I didn't have an answer. Who's next?
Me.
Two.
What's something your true self has been trying to tell you for years that you've been too busy to hear, huh? That I needed to come back to God. Yeah, for decades, I always, at the back of my mind, I know He's real, He's in my life, He's watching over me. But I was very distant to Him. I never made it a point to nurture a relationship with Him, to learn more about Him, to love Him more, and to find ways through service towards other people to serve Him in a very intentional way. Yeah. And I always knew that wasn't ideal. Yeah. So I guess in my inner voice always was kind of saying that, but probably drowned out by all the other attractions, the secular, temporal attractions in my life. Yeah. And not knowing better, I chose to hear those voices. Yeah. Over the voice of come home. Yeah. Just, yeah. Come home. You don't have to be perfect. you can just be exactly like you are because that's how I made you. And I love you exactly the way you are. But come back and have a relationship with me. Yeah. So I would say that is it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's something you've started doing in midlife that feels almost rebellious, and why does that feel so good? I think all my life I'm just doing things different from people. I've always been rebellious in that sense. So, of late, what did I rebel from? I don't know. I mean, so many things that I did in the past few years, like when the whole world is getting vaccinated, I refuse to. When the whole world is doing this and I refuse, okay, maybe here's one. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I decided to only use my laptop if I want to go on social media, not on my phone. So my phone, I deleted some apps that I know I can do it on the laptop. I deleted it simply because make space is one. Secondly, I use social media mostly for work. And so if I get in the habit of just posting stuff via the laptop, it gets a lot easier for me. Then I spend less time on the phone. I don't like holding the phone, but these days you do need your phone with you out of necessity. When you go out, payments or whatever, right? All of that requires a phone. So I'm trying to reduce the usage. Even though I do need to carry it with me because, emergency calls and all of that. So that's one thing that I've been doing. Got me thinking a lot about all these people or CEOs of big companies that create mobile phones, that create games. They don't use them. They don't let their children use them. They only let consumers use them, right? And consumers get addicted to them. It's like the drug pusher. They themselves don't use it. So got me thinking a lot about that. And to be more discerning about, yes, I enjoy, going on social media to see, cute cats.
The AI cats. Oh,
The AI. Yeah, so I can do that on my laptop, right? And if I'm not on my laptop, then I don't watch, I do other things. So I think that would be the most recent thing that I'm rebelling against. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Come back to Jimmy.
Yes. I was gonna say there was a recent case just last week where it was groundbreaking, and it was against Meta and Google, aka YouTube, right? So Meta, Facebook, Google, YouTube, and what's it called? Plaintiff. The plaintiff won the case. This teenager, or at least the parents of the teenager, saying that these two, like the social media channels, were very, very addictive features with infinite scrolling, algorithm, showing you what you want. So it's really interesting that what's considered good is just one fine line away from being bad, like addictive. And they won the case.
Yeah.
So that really opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that's a good thing, if they win. Because you're not taking personal responsibility. You're
that's
blaming.
True. Yeah. Which is why I'm gonna say actually everything in life is a fine line.
Yeah.
A lot of things in life are good. Social media is good.
Yeah.
It connects people, you learn things, it is informative. Food is good, but if you go disordered, if you consume it in a disordered way, it's bad. Exercise is good.
Correct.
Sex is good, but anything in disordered fashion is bad. So like going back to your accountability thing, if it becomes an addiction for you, then you are supposed to not consume it in a disordered way, right?
Yeah.
This one, Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's the dose makes the poison.
Yes.
And then in this
Yes.
case, I would say though, in this case, I do feel, yeah, I mean, I can see all sides. This particular case was like a young teenager, and then it's kind of like, okay, you can say the parents should play a larger role. So it was just tricky, but yeah, it was like groundbreaking. And it happened just on that day itself, and then I was like having class that night. I was like, wow, perfect timing. Bring it up. So we had a good discussion, yeah.
Okay.
What's
Your
a
question.
relationship that midlife completely changed the shape of? And are you at peace with that? Oh man, I'm like really stuck on the word relationship. What's a relationship? I guess
It could be with someone or something.
yeah, I was gonna say if we make it a bit looser, maybe relationship with what defines success. Like say back then I would think, oh, what does success look like at midlife, right? Definitions that I've taken on that have been conditioned, and I didn't really realize it, because I guess when you're conditioned well enough, when you're trained well enough, you actually don't know that you're being conditioned. I think until probably in the last, not to sound cliche, but in the last maybe like 10 or so years when I've been away, that I think seeing versions of what looks to me like success, like when I see somebody else and I go, oh, that's a successful life, like see another one, that's a successful life, and then it slowly changed my definitions, open it up, and then it made me feel at peace, or more at peace. I wouldn't want to say like totally at peace, but more at peace with definition of success. And I don't mean success as in, so anyway, like I said, success, it used to be like, oh, success has to be tied to a certain like financial kind of status. It just broadened it. I mean, finances are still important, but it got broadened.
Yeah. I think Singapore is a echo chamber, right? People get so stuck in a certain way, like how you have to be like at the different stages of your life, and people just buy into it without thinking the conditioning is so strong here.
Yeah, I think because I've always thought about that, and I felt that it's one of those things where there's very little diversity in a way. Like, your classmates, you're all 7 years old, you're all in primary 1, you pass and then you go to primary 2, maybe 1 or 2 may fall out and then you don't ever see them again, but that same group will like move.
Homogeneous.
Yes. And then you become 13, you become 14.
Our lives are homogeneous. Yeah.
It's just one of those things where like I had a big culture shock when I was in the army, and then I was like, wow. Because I met peers born in the same year that I was born in, totally different. Like, some just came out of jail, some were going into jail.
Going to jail.
I'm not saying like it has to be just difference in terms of like that direction, but I'm just giving you extreme examples, right? Like, I remember one guy, we were filling out a form, and then he told me something about, I don't know how to write my name in Chinese or something like that. Then I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Then he says, no, I just had like a few years of school. And it blew my mind. So anyway.
Yeah. Singapore tends to have a very money-chasing attitude and culture. Wealth, affluence, so that is like how most people define success.
Yeah. It's how it's all set up, right? The whole
unfortunately, very meritocratic. So
yes.
You don't have to be rich. If you're very smart, you will make it here. And then it becomes like, okay, you gotta be smart, you gotta earn, you have got to use your smart to make the most money. Yeah, don't be smart and then go and be a lawyer for people who cannot afford a lawyer. Please don't do that, that kind of thing. Yeah. So parents encourage their children to go for the fruit that gives them the most money. Yeah. That's how they measure success. Yeah.
It's quite sad, soulless.
Yes. Yeah.
But I have to say, it is becoming slightly better with the younger generation coming up.
I agree.
They're really not into... I think maybe also it depends on their family background, right? I think most Gen Zs in Singapore, they have it easier financially because the parents can afford it. So they have the space to go and think about other things that they want to do, which helps in many ways to regenerate this creative, aspect of ourselves and the country. And there are a lot of, I see on social media so many new things the young people are doing. Like there is a group, they're trying to get like all women get together. They may be painting, they may be cooking, and they're all strangers. And there are people from, I think from their 20s to 40 or something like that age group. And it's like networking, but not for work, for social. So women. Then there's the Casual Poet Society. That's a nice one also. And they have a lot of activities. I follow them on Instagram. A lot of activities. All look so interesting. So all these things,
nice.
Creative, exploring their creativity.
I think it could. I think I think you're right about your observation about the parents are probably doing better than my generation.
So there's no need to okay, you're gonna have to fight for everything.
Yeah, and then
it's
you're
you already got everything. Yeah.
I'm like this. I better tell my children to you better study hard, and then now it's this. It would be like if I had children, I would be totally different from my parents. And I think plus also the other thing is internet. To just be able to connect and see a lot more. Whereas before, we see what is being imported, right? Or what the news choose to report.
Yeah. And when you're not from an affluent background, you will see a lot less. You will travel less.
Yes.
Yeah, you will be exposed to a lot less. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now the world is really indeed very small.
Yeah.
You just turn on your phone.
Internet,
everything is there.
It.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a equal playing field, right? Everybody starts at the same level.
Yeah. Well, I was just going back to what you said about the young women. Some people might call them the new hippies.
Yes.
It's our little commune. We make raffia bags and grow weed. Just kidding. Yeah.
Okay, that was interesting.
Segue.
Yeah, very interesting.
Detour.
Susanah.
Okay. What's the difference between the self you perform for the world, and the self that exists when no one's around? I would like to think there's only one self. And to be very honest, there were at least two of me, if not more, in the past. But I am concertedly trying to live one life, to be that one person, whether it's in front of a crowd that is looking at me, watching me do something important, or when nobody is looking. Yeah, I would like to think that I can and I want to think the same way, say the same things, behave in the same way. Otherwise, you're not being authentic. You're not being honest and truthful. Yeah, you're faking it in a way, lah. Yeah.
But sometimes we don't know.
Um,
That's our blind spots, right?
yes,
our blind
of
spot.
course.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even realize because adrenaline kicks in and you just put on that performance face, right? Yeah. And your whole demeanor changes, your speech patterns change, the choice of words even. Yeah. Of course, subtly you have to shift, the way you communicate with people. You can't go to the market and talk to the woman selling chicken in the same way that you address, I don't know, if you ever get to meet the President of the United States. You know what I mean? To some extent, you have to cater so that people connect with you better.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but your heart must be the same.
Imagine talking the same way to the auntie who sells chicken rice as you would with Trump.
Yes. Oh no. Okay, Trump. Okay, I don't think I would even want to talk to Trump. I mean, don't know, Lincoln, for instance, if he was still alive.
That's funny. What does your true self want that you haven't yet given yourself permission to want out loud? Well, what I really want is to travel, but I'm stuck. That's one way to look at it. In terms of like true self, showing up, being who I am, doing my work, I don't think I'm stopping myself in any way. I don't think I'm waiting for permission either. The only thing right now, logistical reasons more than anything else it's, I want to travel, but I'm stuck simply because I have to be around for my very elderly parents. So it's a little bit hard that way. Yeah, but other than that, I try to be as authentic as possible when I show up for my clients, when I show up in classes that I do with my students. Shall we do one more round?
Yeah.
Who in your life has ever truly seen you? Not the version you present, but the real one underneath. I would think that this question is a little bit like Sue's question. I would think that not like my whole life, but and I don't have like a definitive age or number to give, I would say since trying to be more authentic with myself, maybe starting from like early 30s, I think everybody gets to see facets of it, of the true self. So there's not like fake self or like a different self. They see facets of the true self, but the closer you are to the inner circle, the more facets you see.
So people in your inner circle,
they will see more.
Actually, yeah,
I think that's quite natural. That it would happen that way.
The more you talk to whoever, the more you tend to reveal yourself. Inevitably. The more you connect, the more you see each other and do things together.
And also the depth, right, of your communication. You can talk a lot with someone, but if there's no depth, then there's no reveal, right? It's just superficial. Sue?
Yep. What did grief teach you about living that nothing else could? I would say I've only ever really grieved, I guess, the passing of my parents. For my mom, she passed on when I was in my very, very late 40s. So in a sense, I was ready to let her go, and she was in her early 80s. So yeah, it's just one of those easier to mourn passing.
Yeah.
But for my dad, he passed on when I was 27, going on 28. And I've always felt that actually at that age, you're barely out of your teens. You know, you think I've started my first job, I'm getting somewhere. And it sounds old, right? 27, 28, but your brain and your heart, I felt that. I didn't realize actually until he passed that I was still so unformed. Yeah. And it's only when he was gone that I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I'm at such a very vulnerable age where I really need my dad, you know. I need my dad to talk to about my career, about what I should do, even about relationships. And I didn't have that. And it was very hard for me. And I felt like I was forced to grow up. You think, yeah, you're already grown up, but no, emotionally I was forced to grow up without him. And I couldn't share a lot of things with him, all the milestones in my life, even the moments I was proud of, which I knew he would be so proud of me. All that was just something I did not get to enjoy. Yeah. So that's why I have a lot of empathy for people who lose their parents when they're fairly young. Like I think I brought up about teenagers and little children. And in fact, I think teenagers, it's worse for them than little young children who don't really know what's going on. Yeah. Because I went through that. Yeah. And people don't realize that this person is going through that. They will always focus on the person that the deceased is closest to. For example, the wife. Okay, which is right. In that, because of that, I felt that the people around me didn't realize I was in so much pain. And that going through that experience has taught me that you need to focus on everyone who it is affected. Yeah, especially the children. Yeah, and it's just this indescribable feeling of loss and being lost and lost. Yeah, and then like, okay, all of a sudden you have to take care of this. You gotta do that. Like, yeah, you just can't be like daddy's girl anymore. He's gone. The protector is gone. It is a very, very scary time. Yeah. So it's really taught me to think about the children. Think about the ones who are not formed. Because when you are formed, you will find it in yourself. Yeah. To be strong. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's hard for the children. I remember reading something about when I lost my father, which was like 2 years ago, right? Then subsequently I came across this article or post, I can't remember, and then there was this line and it really explained it so well. It says, our parents have known life without us, but we've never known life without our parents. So that's why the losing parents is, especially the younger you are, the more traumatic
because
it is,
you
just
feel very helpless
without them.
and you feel very helpless because as when my mom went, it was a very different scenario. Not that I wanted her to die or that I didn't love my mother. It was just different. I was ready. And
you were well prepared.
I had my life. I was like but as a young 20-something, I was totally lost. And nobody asked me, even my mom didn't ask me, are you okay? Yeah, and I'm like, that's unbelievable. And I just kept it in me. You know, like, you think I don't feel it? I was so close to him. Yeah. And even my mom knew I was very, 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 very close to him. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Sometimes people don't ask because they can't deal with your pain as well. Yeah.
I suppose maybe those who don't, like, okay, my mom I understand, but maybe those who weren't that affected could have asked me, are you okay? Yeah, but nobody asked. Yeah. So
For being forced to grow up is not the that's not a fun way to find out how you are, right, as a person as you're growing up, like, you know, being forced.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow, big lesson. Grief.
Like the cats.
Yeah, like the cats.
I do as I please.
What's the
conversation you're most glad you finally had? The one you kept putting off for years. I don't remember, or I don't know what's the conversation that I'm most glad I finally had, because if there were conversations that needed to be had, depending on the situation, like, I mean, there's some things I really want to have a conversation with my mom, but of course it's impossible. She has dementia. She's not going to be able to get what I'm saying. But, you know, conversations that I usually just have them without thinking too much, without I'll just bring it up. I'll just say it. If I don't have that conversation, then it means it's not worth my time, not worth my energy to pursue it. It's not that important. If it's important, I will do it. Okay, maybe conversation may not be the right thing for what I have in mind, but maybe things about people that I'm close enough with, at least, that I feel like maybe there are certain things they say or do very habitually that borders on disrespect or borders on being unkind, and maybe things like that, that I maybe brush off or not even pay any attention. But then when it becomes almost chronic, right, then I would say it. So those would be the kind of conversations. Like, I would just tell the person off. I say, can you just stop doing that? You know, it's annoying, or you've been doing this for a long time and I feel it's enough. It needs to stop. Yeah. So it'll be things like that. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about serious conversations, no lah. I mean, if it needs to be said, then it will be said.